Young actress Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot have been out there making all kinds of crazy claims when it comes to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now people are beginning to wonder, has she gone rogue, or are these the official talking points of modern Disney? Hey folks, welcome back to another fantastic video. We aim for excellence here on the WDW Pro channel as we endeavor to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. Today we're taking a look at the latest statements out of Rachel Zegler, the young actress who is playing Snow White in the remake that seems to think that the original classic is damaged goods and no good to put back in theaters. They say that it is, well, not timeless anymore. It's a relic. Put it away! The values, they are not the values of today. Well, we've got some other thoughts on that, of course, as you might expect, and we think that this may actually be an attack on the founder of the company. Is it, though, the official position of today's modern company? Well, let's find out as we join in the conversation from last Thursday's Pro Show Live. We'll find out what the panel had to say.
And I have a question, because I have to say I'm very impressed with Alan's optimism that Rachel wasn't prepped for that D23 event where they prep them up the wazoo for anything they could possibly be asked, because that's a very public fan-oriented event. So I think she was prepped. I think she was prepped with those talking points, because that's been part of her whole structural narrative on every.
Wait a minute, culture.
I can't.
I agree with culture. I agree with culture.
I can't believe.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
You're telling me
this
is complicated.
We are. I can't believe that.
You're telling me that she went into D23, the home, the nest of the most ardent Disney fans on the planet, prepped to dismiss and disparage Snow White.
Yes,
And Walt.
Yeah.
And Fletcher, you agree. Tell us why.
I agree, because she was obviously prepped by Miss Marble herself. Because she knew the marbles was coming, so she had to have like a little bit of a cushion there to make herself more likable. I think it's Brie Larson's publicist. That's my hot take.
Oh, you're saying the Marvel publicist got her to prep her to say all that?
Correct.
I don't like
Yes.
you said. I mean, these types of statements she's been making for a very long time. As historically, if you go through all of the things that have been brought to light recently, and unfortunately for her, it all still exists in the world of social media, which is a shame. But this is a young person, and again, I'm doing a video on this tomorrow. It kind of in a kind of a feeling bad for her mode rather than going at her mode. But I just she like everybody else when they're asking questions at these events has been prepped, because it's the only way to explain the reaction that she had with the Variety interview that she did, and then of course the follow-up questions that were asked of her off stage. Look, they've been trying to take down Walt, and this is where I agree with you 1,000%, Alan, because I think you're spot on. They've been trying to take down Walt for a long time. And it's not just a Song of the South, which they don't want to show anybody, because people will be like, this is what you're calling racist? This is a bunch of like stories that came, from like people telling these stories generationally that kind of came down through, these are African folklore stories. What are you doing? Right? That, these characters that were created to represent these things, in no way is this racist. Perhaps some of the terminology utilized back then was maybe racist by today's standards, but the film itself was not. So, like I said, they probably will try to use Song of the South or something, as you suggest, to finally get rid of him. But they've been trying to get rid of Walt forever, because it doesn't suit their legacy and what in the direction that they've been headed. And you're right, they are not interested in making money.
I'll also add that there were too many talking points in common between her and Gal Gadot that to say they were definitely supposed to talk about that update. But I don't think they were accounting for the idea that she might be very awkward. And I'm going to say this. She was a very awkward child who has probably in some ways been coddled by the system socially, not talking about work ethic, because I'm pretty sure she works hard when she shows up there. I think that they just didn't account for her getting on the subject of Walt Disney in the environment that they're in, and she took it to a place I don't think they could have anticipated she would directly insult. Or maybe she wasn't accounting for the fact that she's talking to a reporter and not her pal, To me, this is all things that you might say awkwardly to a friend. And when it's on the D23, whatever color carpet that is, it comes through in a very different way.
She's a theater kid.
Maybe, and I knew those kids, right, Alan? I grew up with them. But I'm going to say it this way, then, Jonas and Alan. Explain the rest of it to me. Explain how she's consistent the rest of the way down the road, years later, when she's talking about this same film in the same way, calling out the prince as the bad guy, a stalker, calling out everything else about that film. It's not 1937 anymore. How many times is that talking point repeated? And then here's the weird thing, because verbatim, Gal Gadot goes on and says the same similar things, or backs her up in what she's saying, using exactly the same words. See, everybody's prepped for these things. I'm sorry. I've witnessed it. I've witnessed people being prepped for these things, for either the expo or the D23 event. So,
but do you honestly think that she was told, and by the way, don't say anything awkward or self-deprecating about there is a line here where she might sound like she's trying to be your relatable friend who is
okay. So what?
She wasn't supposed to intimate that one of her co-stars might be completely cut out of the film. She obviously got off script.
Yeah,
I need to be able to take whatever you guys are taking for your optimism. I need that.
Oh no, she's.
I use Diet Coke.
Go ahead.
No, this is the thing. Is she's very relaxed in the way she talks. She, like I said, she talks like a theater kid. This is how I'm surrounded by them. This is how they talk. This is the the virtue signaling is what they do on a daily basis in their lives. The other thing is I just can't believe that a publicist said, okay, here are your talking points. You don't need no man. This was made in 1937 of outdated times. I cannot believe that a publicist is passing her these talking points. And the thing about Gal Gadot, I think she's just kind of going along with it because, they just got off stage at D23. There's a party attitude there. I would like to think from Gal's standpoint that she's probably rethinking what she said, but it's just a little too casual the way she's talking. People who are talking on talking points are much more measured and much more robotic in the way they talk about things.
Well, I have to say that after this conversation now, I'm imagining that she came off of that interview and her publicist was standing there angry and said, I told you to say that you were going to destroy the patriarchy. You missed one.
Tripping Orc for 5 Canadian. Do you think Snow White will be as successful as West Side Story?
No.
Ow. Speaking of the TSG lawsuit,
I think at this point they've got to be getting nervous.
I hope they are.
Be getting nervous because how many times can she?
Months ago.
If the Daily Mail is
how many times can she have a flop? How many times can Rachel Zegler be part of what's supposed to be a blockbuster and it fails to do anything successful? How many chances do you get?
We'll have to see how Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes does, which everyone's going to love butchering that title.
Is that really what it's called?
Yes.
It's
that almost
2
sounds
hours
like a parody of.
It's a parody that's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
That sounds like the Mel Brooks version of Hunger Games.
It is, but Mel Brooks made it better.
This is the Hunger Games. Welcome. What's this one? Songbirds and Jaybirds? I don't know. Everybody's naked as a jaybird. That's how the game goes.
Hand these out to the boys in lieu of pay.
Yeah.
That whole Rachel thing, I just feel like it's a cautionary tale. Like, I know that it's not an excuse, her age, but I know for a fact that kids are being conditioned this way, to think the way that she thinks, if you can call it that, to reason the way that she reasons. So we have to really be careful. School is about to start up again. And with each year that passes, this agenda thing, this thought control, this conditioning just gets more and more pervasive, So when you hear her saying these things, I almost pity her because I'm pretty sure she has no real self-awareness. And I just see
Mark, you're exactly right. And Mark, the thing too is, I was just watching a video that she did about a year ago, I guess, where she talked about that she is always taken out of context. And when I heard her say that, I thought, well, not everybody is always taken out of context. So if you're always taken out of context, you're not doing a very good job of communicating. And that's a very sad place for her to be, because she doesn't understand why this thing keeps happening to her. So that's no fun for her.
And that could be a dangerous way to think, indeed. And that's
absolutely.
what I mean. It is, and this is the reason why. It's like you see so many of these healthcare professionals. You hear everything going on these days about mental health. This has become an almost an epidemic on its own. So you see so many of these kids, let alone adults, who are having such a hard time adjusting to this world and their place in it. They have no idea what's normal and what's not normal. And I think it's only going to get worse as we go forward, because, this AI thing and all of that, it's starting to really blur the lines of reality. And that's just what you see, let alone the emotion that comes with it. So I think that, like I said, I really do feel that she is a cautionary tale, and it's fascinating to see. And I don't think it's going to get any better.
Mike Bruck, following up on the super chat he sent earlier, the reporter seemed prepped for Rachel's comment about Prince Charming being a stalker. She agreed. She never skipped a beat.
Of course she didn't. Yeah. Of course she didn't. They want, I will say they, will just say certain press, especially when it comes
to media.
Yeah, exactly. Access media, the ones that want to go to the cocktail parties and all of that. Of course they were prepped for that. It's not cool anymore for Disney princesses to be Disney princesses. It's not cool anymore for women to say, hey, I want to see the same romantic story that I saw in the 1937 cartoon. But now it's about toxic masculinity and Prince Charming being a stalker. Number one, Heifer, you did not read the story. That's what you thought. He was a stalker. I'm like, what?
No, they were actually betrothed, but anyway.
Yeah, I would say the evil queen is the height of toxic femininity.
Yeah. Oh God, yes, that's why I love her so much. I do too.
Retro Phoenix.
The evil queen of Snow White. I can't remember which one was the toxic feminist.
All right, folks, and that is a wrap for today. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. It sure is a pleasure bringing these kinds of chats with you, and we hope that you find value in them. If you do, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and let us know what you think about this situation. Is Rachel Zegler a young actress who cannot control her mouth, or is she perhaps someone who is taking the message from the mouse? Drop those comments, folks. We read them, we respect them, we care. And wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.